I'm Victor Strasberg, a tutor at the FSW Oral Communication Center, and today I just want to present to you a basic tutorial and introduction to creating a PowerPoint slide presentation for any one of your courses here at FSW. So what we're looking at here is the basic menu you'll be greeted with when you open your PowerPoint application, whether that's on your Mac or PC, as a standalone application, or if you're going into Office 365 and using it that way, you're going to more or less be presented with this menu. So what we're looking at here is the basic design templates that you can use before you actually start your presentation. So we have blank presentation, we have Madison, gallery, parcel, all the different kinds of designs that you can choose to use before you get started on your presentation. But I would personally recommend that you just start with the blank presentation and don't worry about design elements at this point, or don't try to pick something with, sort of complicated design elements, because that's really going to distract you from creating the actual content of your PowerPoint. So that's why I recommend clicking on your blank presentation, concentrating on the actual content of that presentation, and then after the fact, going into your PowerPoint and experimenting with the design elements, changing up the design elements after you've got all the basic pieces of your PowerPoint down. So that being said, let's start with a blank presentation. So we're going to double click blank presentation. And the first thing that we're presented with here is a basic title slide. And PowerPoint has automatically generated this title slide with two components, basically. You have a title element, and then you have a subtitle element underneath it. So for the purposes of your class, I would really for one of your courses, I really recommend this as a basic design template for your title slide. You can choose to do different design templates, but I think this is the best one that you could start with. And it's probably most sufficient for whatever you'll be doing, whatever you'll be presenting. So the first thing we're going to do is click to add title. So we'll click anywhere in here. And I'm just going to, for the purposes of this presentation, make up a PowerPoint. Let's call it how to create a PowerPoint. Okay, so we have the basic title there, and I can choose to change the font here. I can highlight and change it that way, or I can triple click and pick any of the fonts here. Let's go for just the basic Arial Black. Okay. And then underneath it, we'll click under there and we'll do a subtitle. You don't need a subtitle, but I would recommend using a subtitle with your name and maybe class information or whatever your professor is requiring for you. I'll just put my name for the purposes of this tutorial. You can also put your class and any other relevant information. Okay, so there we have the basic elements of the title slide. And we can also, maybe I want to make my name bigger, so I'll click in there, change it to 32. So this is, you're probably familiar with this. This is basically anything, the basic design that we see, same menu and design that we see for any Word document that you're working on as well. So you're probably familiar with this stuff. The only difference is we have these text boxes. And as you see there, I've just moved one of the text boxes. So if you click on the top or the side, you'll get these 4 arrows, and that indicates that you can move the text box. So let's say I want to move this text box a little lower. So I'll click on this line right here, and it will tell me that I can move it. So I want to move it a little lower because I actually want to put an image between the title and my name. So I'm going to click on this text box and do the same thing as well. Get those 4 arrows, move it a little higher, like so. Okay. Maybe I want to have how to create a PowerPoint on one line. So in order to do that, I will manipulate the text box by grabbing one of these edges here, and that'll move it. If I move it to the right or to the left, depending on which way, it'll decrease or increase the size of my text box. or if I just go underneath, it will stretch the box higher or lower. So for this person, I want to stretch it out wide. So I'll move it this way, and we'll keep moving it. Let's move it from this side, and you'll see it creates a full line for my title here. So then I just want to move it up here. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. I got my title here, my subtitle underneath. So it looks pretty plain right now. So what I'm going to want to do after this is insert an image, because I want to capture the audience's attention right from the start. I want some kind of image that sort of complements my speech, that gets the audience's attention along with my attention getter. So in order to do that, I'm going to click Insert here on the top menu here. We'll click Insert, and basically you have two options to insert an image. You can insert the image, you can pick an image from your actual computer, whatever you've saved to your hard drive, or you can pick an image directly from an internet search. Very much like when you do a Google image search, you'll get a bunch of images and you can just pick one, click it, and it'll insert it for you. So let's start with the basic thing where you might have chosen to save an image to your computer. So in that case, we're going to click Pictures here rather than Online Pictures, which is the second way of doing it. So we'll click Pictures, and I've already chosen an image which I've saved to my hard drive, called PowerPoint image. It's just an image that I found on the internet, and I saved it and saved it to my Documents folder under Pictures. So what we're going to do is click that, and you can double click it or you can click it and insert it. It's up to you. I'll just click it and then hit Insert, and you see it's injected it directly into my PowerPoint. Okay, so that looks pretty good, but I think the image is a little too big. Why not a little smaller? So in order to do that, I want to shrink the image. I can either choose to shrink it or enlarge it. In this case, I'm going to shrink it, and instead of shrinking it by grabbing these sides here, this right side or this left side or this top side or this bottom side, I'm going to grab the corners. So when I grab the corners, what I'm doing there is manipulating the image on all sides rather than just one side of the image from left to right or top to bottom. Because you'll notice if I grab this circle right here, which shows me that I can increase or decrease the image size, if I grab it and move it inward, you'll see I'm distorting the image and into its from its original size, and I'm making it very narrow. And I notice a lot of students have trouble with manipulating their images. They'll say, oh, it's a little too big, or I want to move it. And they'll grab the sides, the tops and the top or bottom or sides, and it'll manipulate the image, and it'll kind of create a distorted image, which you don't want, because that can be disorienting for your reader or your listener as you're presenting. So what you want to do is grab the corners here. So you grab the corners, and you see it's manipulating the image on all four sides. So we don't have a distorted image. We have an even spread of the image across all points. So let's see. So grab the corner here. You can grab any corner. Grab this corner, and we'll shrink it. We'll make it about this size, then we'll move it. Here you can move it from any part of the picture. As long as you have those four arrows, it shows you that you can move the image, and we'll put it right at the center here. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so at this point you can choose to design the slide here a little more. You can add more design elements to it, but we're going to hold off on that because, like I said, let's get the basics down. Let's get the basic information down before we start adding a little more design elements to it. So when I want to move on from here to the next slide, from this title slide to the actual body, the body content of my presentation, creating new body slides, what I'm going to do is hit new slide. So there's actually two options for when you create a new slide. You can either click this icon right here and it'll automatically generate a slide for you, or you can click new slide with this little arrow right here, and this will give you different design templates for your body slide. So we have the title slide here, we have a blank slide, we have a comparison, you have all different types of slides. But I actually recommend you just, instead of clicking that little arrow, just have it auto generate the next slide for you by clicking this icon. And it will create this basic template, which I think is good for any of your body slides, which is a basic title slide. And then underneath it, you'll have a text box with different bullets that you can put your main ideas, our main phrases under here that kind of direct your listener, your reader, as to the major points of your presentation. So I really recommend sticking with this one. So let's see, we can click, and let's click to add title. So we'll click in here, and let me make the first title, the first slide title, let's make it how to create a title slide. Okay, there it is at the top. It's large. You'll notice it's larger than the text beneath it, which is good because you want that large sign there that tells your reader, look, this is the main topic of this particular part of my presentation, this particular part of my slides, so pay attention to that. And underneath it, we have the bullet point style. So you don't have to do the bullet point style. You can go up here into your basic menu and click bullets, and you can go to none, or you can do a different design for your bullets if you want. But I'm pretty happy with this basic filled round bullet style. So we'll click that again. And yeah, let's just start adding some basic content underneath our title here. So let's see, I'm going to use key phrases here. Inserting text is one thing we looked at. Resizing text box. Another element we looked at was inserting image. Okay, so you'll notice here that I'm using keywords and key phrases. I'm not trying to put too much information here that would overwhelm the reader with too much information, too much text. Because when you do that, when you're presenting and you have a slide where you have all this information, all this text, the reader or the listener is going to be trying to read what you have on your slide, what you've chosen to put inside your slide. And that's going to detract and distract them from the actual oral presentation, the actual words that you're presenting and giving. So you want to try to keep this as simple as possible, just inserting key phrases, basic ideas in there. Now, of course, this is true for most oral presentations. It's a basic principle that you want to keep it as simple as possible, and it should serve to illustrate or complement what you're saying, not replace what you're saying. However, sometimes professors will ask you to kind of put full paragraphs in here, especially if you're not going to present it to the class and they just want a PowerPoint where you're sort of kind of almost presenting it like an essay, maybe with an image, a title, and a paragraph underneath it. So in that case, you'd want to get rid of the bullet points and just create a paragraph as if you were writing an actual paper. So yeah, just keep in mind when you're doing an oral presentation, it'll probably look like this, but not necessarily so. You may be asked to do something a little different depending on your class instructions. So for the purposes of this, we're going to say we're doing an oral presentation, and this is how it looks. We got the basic bullets here, highlighting the key ideas, not too much text here, 2 words per point, maybe 3, 4, 5, and having it not replace what we're actually saying. The actual sentences will be coming from my mouth and not the actual PowerPoint. Okay, so now we're going to insert an image here to complement this title slide, or I'm sorry, this body slide. So remember when we talked about how we can insert an image one of 2 ways? So another way we can do it is by pulling an image up from a basic online search. So instead of picking a picture from my actual hard drive or one of my folders, I'm going to click an online picture. So I'm going to find this picture online. So let's click Insert, Online Pictures. And here we can do a basic search, just like you would for Google or basic Google image search. PowerPoint presents you with the Bing search engine, and it's basically like Google image search. So I would really just recommend not even having to leave your PowerPoint app, just going into your online images. It'll give you a whole bunch of images very similar to that of your Google image search. So you might as well just do a basic search here. So let's do PowerPoint. And let's look up images for PowerPoint related to PowerPoint. Okay, so here we have a whole bunch of different pictures that we can choose. And you'll notice there's this Creative Commons here. You can unclick that and you'll get like more images. But Creative Commons is the images that are free for you to use. If there's no restrictions on that for your class, you can choose to unclick it and have more pictures there. And if you want to do Creative Commons, you can click that. It all depends on your instructor and what the instructions are for that particular part. So yeah, let's just do a Creative Commons image, and we can pick any of these images. Let's go with this one. So we'll click that, and we'll just hit Insert. Okay, so that's been inserted into my body slide here. And yeah, it looks a little small, so I am going to stretch that out a little by grabbing the corner and just placing it. Maybe I'll place it on like the bottom right here. So I don't want it to be too close to my text and kind of confuse the reader. So I'll just put it right here. Okay. So yeah, that looks pretty good. We got our title slide. We have our body slide. We have the title on the top, and beneath it, we have various text highlighting the main points of this particular part of my presentation. And we have a nice little image there on the right that I've moved to where I like it. So yeah, that's the basic elements of creating a slide. Now, when you create a new slide, when you want to create a new slide, like I said before, you can, create a different kind of template style, or you can just create a new slide by clicking here. Maybe you want to create more. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and we click on there, and we go into it, and we can do the title, and we can do the same process all over again with a different title. Let's see here, how to create a body slide. Okay, so yeah, those are the basics of inserting basic text and images into your slide. So now we can move on to, like I said before, we've got the basic content and the fundamentals down. So now we can begin to think about adding more design elements, because we can see it's pretty plain. We just got this white background. Everything kind of looks the same. So if we wanted to change more of the design elements, more of the aesthetic presentation of this slide presentation, we can go to Design. So we click in there, and you'll see there's all these different themes that you can pick from. So let's click, let's just pick one of these. You can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Let's go with this one. So we click here, and you'll notice it's changed all of my slides to this basic theme. And we got here, and you'll notice sometimes when you do that, it'll change some of the sizing aspects of your text box and such and your images. So we could just go back there and take a look at each one and kind of change it, shrink it, move it around. So I like this, kind of move it here. Yeah, this looks pretty good to me. And it's changed. So it's changed my title slide, and it's changed all my body slides here. And and I'm pretty happy with that. But let's say I like this basic theme that I picked here, but maybe I don't like the color. So if you look on the right side, to the right of themes, you have variants of that theme. So this just means there's basic color changes to that basic theme. So let's use this, this sort of darker one here. So if we click that, you'll notice it's changed it to this darker greenish sort of color, and it's done that for all of the slides. So yeah, at this point in your design, in creating your PowerPoint, you can kind of play with these themes and these variants, and kind of pick them and go through various different themes and pick the one that is most pleasing to you. But yeah, like I said before, try to keep it minimal. Like this one, that's a little complicated. It's hard to read the text, so maybe you want to avoid something like that. We click this one, and again, it changes everything. This one's a little more readable. But yeah, let's go back to this one. So this one I'm pretty happy with. So yeah, we've got the design elements in place, we've got the content in place, and we've got the design elements in place. So now it's just a matter of creating more content, adding more slides, adding more pictures. Just feel free to experiment and create something that you think will be pleasing, that'll be visually pleasing for your audience. And once you're done with all that, you are ready to present your slideshow. So the way to present this PowerPoint is by going into your slideshow option here at the top, and we hit from beginning. And from beginning will present us with this, the title slide. And yeah, so this is where you start your presentation. And as you're going through it, if I want to move on, I'll hit the right arrow. Here's my second slide, third slide, just keep hitting arrow, fourth slide. If I want to go back, hit the back arrow, go back and go back. So here's our title. So yeah, that's basically how you would do your slideshow presentation if you're doing it for a class. And if I want to get out of this menu, I'll just hit escape. Okay. So yeah, we've got the title slide, body slides. We've covered how to present the PowerPoint. And the last thing I just wanted to go over really quickly was how to save this document. And this is basically how you would save any document. If it's on Office 365, you don't have to worry about this because it automatically saves. But if you're using an app, your PowerPoint app, you just go to File and you go to Save As, and you go to your Browse, and we have how to create a PowerPoint. It's already been titled based on my title slide, so I'll just hit save on that. And yeah, that saves to my computer. So I'm all done with that. I don't have to worry about it. I can come back to it later and add to it or whatever. So yeah, those are the basics of how to create a PowerPoint presentation. There's other aspects to it, like you can do transitions between slides, morph, fade, and all that. You can do animations where you can choose how you want your text to animate when you moved from one slide to the other. It can float in and it could just appear, it could split. There's all different ways of actually making each slide transition in each image and each text transition into the next part of your presentation. But for the purposes of this basic tutorial, I don't think it's necessary to go into that. Those are just little flourishes that you can add to your presentation, and feel free to experiment with that. But for the purposes of this basic tutorial, I think just covering everything that we've covered in this presentation is enough. And yeah, so this is the basics of your PowerPoint slide presentation for any of your courses here at FSW. I hope it was useful to you, and I hope you can use it as you create PowerPoint presentations for the rest of your time here at FSW. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.